Hi, you guys, and today I'm gonna talk a little bit more about mirror work and essentially why it works. So, just quickly recapping for those who are not aware of the process, mirror work is when you look into a mirror, when you look straight into a mirror and have a conversation with yourself. There's no one else in this room. When you do this, you are alone and you're having a very deep conversation with yourself. It could be about anything, what's on your mind. I usually like to freestyle this conversation, like, don't plan it, just go stand in front of a mirror and start talking. It's almost like journaling, but verbally in front of a mirror. Another recap is my method of mirror working. um Not sure if that's a word, but yeah, mirror working. My method actually is something that I stumbled upon as an accident, which really worked for me, and I have continued to do it thereafter as it has been yielding really good results. So what I like to do is I like to open the front camera of my phone and I like to put it in video mode, and I like to have a conversation with myself. The reason why this works is I actually have this conversation recorded, and again, the strategy is the same. I literally don't plan what I'm going to talk about, but I just have a conversation with myself. And then when this conversation is recorded, I try and keep it under 4 minutes, less than that sometimes. I always have the liberty to go back and look at it again. What often will happen is your conversation will be channeled, or it'll feel like you've channeled it because you're only talking to yourself and there is nobody else around you. There are actually no inhibitions. So when you talk to a friend, you might feel a little guarded, even if it's like a close friend or a best friend. But when you talk to yourself, like, it's just like no one's looking, right? So that's why mirror work in this form kind of works. And when you play the recording back to yourself, it's like almost as if you're getting advice from your higher self. So that's why mirror work. Okay, couple of reasons why it actually works and why you should give it a try is, firstly, it makes you observe. So the first time I did mirror work, what I observed was that my skin had started looking better. I hadn't in particular been doing anything about it, but it kind of looked better than what I thought it was, right? This revealed a lot about my self image, self perception, where I thought that I don't look good enough. But the mirror work, when I sat and I did it, I could look beyond the fact that I don't like the shape of my nose, or maybe my eyebrows are like not even. I could like look beyond that, and I was like, oh wow, the skin is really good. And how come I have never noticed this about myself before? Because maybe I have not spent that much time in front of a mirror before truly observing myself. You probably just look at yourself, glance at yourself when you're doing your makeup or washing your face, or shaving your beard, something like that, but you never really look, right? So mirror work is also, it gives you a moment of reflection where you spend time with yourself. So that's how it kind of helps you reflect and also almost have like a meditative experience with your own self. Number two, okay, so you might argue that, hey, I do look at myself when I take a selfie, or when I put up something on social media, or sometimes you feel like, yeah, I look cute today, let me take a picture. And I have looked at myself and I did that because I used the camera, or I took a mirror selfie and I did it. But no, when you take a picture for somebody else, your first and foremost thought is, how do I look? How can I make my look self my how do I make my look how do I make myself look better? What filter do I use? Are my eyebrows even? Is my makeup on point? What about this hair over here? How do I like thin my face out? It's how do I get rid of the marks or the scars? And you start using apps and filters and all sorts of things to just distract from the flaws that you might have and enhance your strengths, which is great, which is fine. But again, it's for social media, it is not for you. Okay, when was the last time that you've taken a picture just for yourself? I don't think it's been, I think it's been a while. So what will happen is, when you drop the filter, you get to, that picture is for you, that conversation is for you, that video is for you. So when there are no aesthetics required, you start appreciating the beauty of what is already present, and that kind of puts you in the moment. Again, very important for manifesting. being in the moment. So that is point number 2. Now point number 3 is appreciation. So what I've read about this, and actually what I've experienced also, is mirror work will allow you to appreciate your flaws. If you are struggling with self image, if you're struggling with the body issues, or if you've gone through something and your body is not what it used to be, you most likely have a lot of self image issues. You are body conscious. Okay, this is going to be resolved if you start doing mirror work. The goal is very simple. When you do this, it's basically like, look until you start liking what you see. um, it's the mode of appreciation. If you have ever listened to Abraham Hicks, um, she always says, start where you are, begin where you are. You don't have to rewind, you don't have to go back to the past. You should not have the I will do this when syndrome either. You look at yourself in the mirror, look at that nose, look at those eyebrows, look at that pigmentation, okay, look at that double chin, and tell yourself, hey, this is fine, I'm cute, part of my personality. Accept it, come to peace with it. And the longer you look, you think you will be horrified by it, but no, that does not happen. The longer you look, the cuter you feel. And that is something you can definitely try it out. Do that on your video camera, do it in private, do it when no one's looking, but try it out. And number 4 is a part of point number 3. Actually, it's acceptance. So when you start looking until you start liking what you see, you've reached a point of acceptance. What will happen when you reach this point of acceptance is you feel very happy. You feel like a weight has lifted off your chest. That is nothing but your resistance rising. I mean, it kind of gets the pressure off, right? So you've surrendered the pressure of looking good all the time, or the pressure of, oh, I'm not good enough. And for, say, 5 minutes, you feel very content with where you are, because now you've come from appreciation, right? So what will happen is you will give up the resistance, and the minute you give up resistance is the minute you manifest. So that's why we really need to start integrating mirror work into our spiritual practices. And my last suggestion, would be that you should do it in the second half of the day, probably right before bed. But in case you don't feel it, and maybe you're just tired, after a long day, try and do it like after your commute back home, or if you're stuck in traffic, just like take your phone out, you always have it on you, and do your mirror work. Because what will happen in the second half of the day is your brain is starting to slow down. It's getting more calmer. It gets into, when your brain gets into your, I believe it's called the alpha state, it absorbs this information, and you're actually training your subconscious. So what happens is your learnings and the resistance that you've given up kind of stays with you, and is now integrated into your body. It's almost like recoding your brain, and telling your brain like, hey, this is the face that you now have, and turns out you love it. So that's what's going to get it like embedded in you. And what happens is, while you think it's all about your physical appearance, it actually helps you manifest things that are much more deeper. If your confidence is higher, you start feeling a little more worthy, the momentum carries, and the next thing you know is you're making money, you're getting offers, you're getting dates, you're getting matches online. Everything is working out for you. So that's why mirror work. So that's all for today, and I think I'll come back with some more stuff in the course of the week, so stay tuned.